Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another episode of the Money Grab. We have episode 5. We're going to break down UFC 325. I almost said a pay-per-view, but it's not pay-per-view. This is the dawn of the Paramount Plus era. The former pay-per-views are now going to be called number events. We've done one on Paramount Plus. Went pretty well, but either way, we're going to get into that as we're taking a look at this card as well, I'm sure. Curtis Hoagland with me is Andrew Morin to break down the fights. Andrew, you doing all right, man?
Doing great, man. Enjoying this cold weather we got here, and I'm excited for another weekend of UFC fights. So back-to-back pay-per-view or numbered events now, and let's get into it, man.
That's going to be the hardest habit ever to break is not calling them pay-per-views now.
Yeah, exactly.
I still find myself doing it pretty much nonstop. But another thing that came with the Paramount era here, we have, no more pay-per-views, and then also the fights are an hour earlier. So main card's going to be starting at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time for our East Coast friends out there. Pretty decent card. I would say both of it's also weird having two pay-per-view or numbered events back-to-back like this, but both of them are actually pretty stacked. Looking through this one, per usual, we're going to spend the main thrust of our time on the 5 fights of the main card, but there are a couple good prelims that we'll probably breeze through as well, just kind of looking at them. A lot of local talent. They put this card together for Alexander Volkanovski. Originally, I thought it was kind of like a half. Why is the color on this weird too? It was like half of a send-off, and then then he kind of like backpedaled and said he's not retiring. He's like, stay in, and he's gonna fight till he feels like he's not really able to keep with the top of the division anymore, and that whole spiel. But either way, they threw a card together for him in Australia. And accordingly, there's a lot of local talent, a lot of New Zealand and Australia guys. The first 1, 2, 3, 4 fights, all Australia guys. First 5 fights, we got all Australia guys. Early prelims, 4 o'clock Central Standard Time. That's 5 o'clock Eastern Time. I always want to go the opposite direction on that for some reason. I always want to take an hour away.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah, it'd be even earlier for you.
Yeah, man.
Early prelims, though, you can catch those Paramount Plus or UFC Fight Pass. We ain't going to spend a ton of time on those. But we do want to spend a little bit of time on the regular prelims, which start at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 Eastern. First card on that, we have Jonathan McAuliffe. I don't know how you would say that, against Oban Elliott. I know Andrew's got a dog in this race. Why don't you take it away, man? What do you think?
Yeah, man. I just looking at this, it's a purely a number play. At plus 114, I really like Oban Elliott here. He's coming off of a loss, but I don't think that deters him here. He has a measured striking, and he uses his striking to land his takedowns. He has a 44% takedown accuracy, which really isn't great, but once he gets people there, he keeps them there. So he kind of has like this gangster type attitude, about him, but he fights very measured and he not really gets in there and is a hothead. I think he's going to keep the pressure on him here. And, when you got a strong grappler and he's a dog, I like that there. So I like Oban Elliott in this one. And I think he's pissed off after, I don't remember what happened, but I heard a couple interviews about him this week and he's just pissed off. He might've got hurt if I remember correctly, maybe, or
interesting.
Yeah. So,
coming in with a chip on his shoulder a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
And grapplers, I like when grapplers are underdogs. So I like Oban Elliott here.
Yeah, I like it. Good breakdown. I generally tend to favor the grapplers as well, obviously given the grappling background. But it seems like they have quite a bit of success when they go out there and stick to a game plan. So I like that bet, especially like you said, for the plus money. Look at the colors on it now. Now it's fine.
Yeah.
How weird.
It was crazy. Another crazy thing about this card is the early prelims has 5 fights on it. Last I checked, this had like 14 or 15 fights on it. So I don't know if some are falling off or if they're adding some.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Dude, yeah, I didn't even. Normally I count the fights. That's crazy. I didn't count it, and I did not notice that.
Yeah, I was looking earlier this week to see if I had any, other plays and stuff, and I was like, wow,
there's a shitload of fights on this.
Yeah, so we're starting an hour early, but we're still gonna end. And if Paramount ads have anything to do with it, we're gonna be here till 2 a.m. So
absolutely. Yeah,
get a cup of coffee ready for this one.
An espresso shot while you're at it.
Yeah, exactly.
That was I've seen quite a few people complain about the pacing of the first Paramount card, which they said that they're going to try and shave. I think it was like at least 10 minutes off of this card. But one of the things that I was thinking a lot of people were maybe overlooking or not considering was in that first card, there were also 3 fights that got dropped.
Yeah.
So if it was that same length of time with 3 more fights jammed in there, that would have actually probably been pretty good pacing for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, they're gonna play ads and commercials and stuff, which that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think what they did is a lot of filler time at the desk. They throw it to the
Mhm.
desk all the time just because of, you know, they were missing 3 fights, so they needed that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You got to kill some kind of time, and if they're slotted for that amount of time on Paramount Plus, like they got to fill it regardless if they've
Yeah,
got fights or
exactly.
not.
If
So
if this was just on, like, you know, normal television, they'd have to do the same thing.
yep,
You know?
yep,
So
you got it. I like that bet though. Open Elliott at welterweight, I would say probably I play that as well. Next up, we have a middleweight bout: Jacob Malkoun versus Torres Finney. I think this is one of the ones that I thought was actually probably a pretty good one for the prelims. Now I don't know what the odds are on it. I need to take a look at that. But Jacob Malkoun trains with Robert Whitaker. I'm a Robert Whitaker diehard fan. I can't say enough about the guy, and I think people who train with him have to get some kind of championship rub. And Torres Finney has not exactly blown me away with his technical prowess. Oh, at minus 147, I will absolutely play Jacob Malkoun money line minus 147 all day long. I think that's a pretty solid bet there. I think he's better just about everywhere. He may not be as physically strong as Torres Finney. There's not going to be a lot of people that are when you're built like a brick shithouse like that.
yeah.
But I think he's faster and more technically sound than Finney by leaps and bounds. What do you think? You got anything on this one?
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I actually don't have much going off of this fight, but I did have written down in my notes Finney money line at plus 140. I saw him earlier, plus 140. I know. The only thing I have is he's boring as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I just think he can take a decision here. He can last for a decision. I know he was on like the Dana White Contender Series like 3 times. Like,
Oh,
you know,
damn. Okay.
if you're on there like 3 times, I hope it's him because otherwise I'm gonna look stupid. But
No,
you
you're
know,
probably right.
if you're on there a couple times, like, you know, there's something seriously missing. And if I remember correctly, his last one was not a decision, and it wasn't really wasn't anything exciting. So, but he does get wins. So, you know, I'm a trend better, and you know, all wins. So we're
you're right.
on there.
We'll have to have a gentleman's bet on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, though. 3 times on the Contender Series, and his last fight was a split decision over that Robert Valentin guy, who's kind of a weird dude as well.
Yes, and I think there's a lot of controversy around that. I think there was something coming out of that where they thought Valentin won, and and he got the decision, and it was boring as hell, and Dana White wasn't happy. Or,
classic. You know. Sounds about right.
But I mean, he doesn't have the experience, and doesn't, you know. I'm not super familiar with Finney, but he's never going to have a training partner that's better than Robert Whitaker. You know, he's the best ever. So, you know.
Yeah, I kind of wonder about level of competition as well. Like, one guy's been in the UFC for quite a while, and the other guy, like you said, is kind of back and forth Contender Series and having some hit or miss performances there. Last fight for Malkoun here was the TKO, soccer kick to the body against Andre Petroski, but then before that, he had an illegal elbow to Cody Brundage and lost. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna stick with Malkoun, and we'll do a little gentleman's bet on that one on the side.
Yeah, we'll have
to. And speaking of, Brundage, that's who I was just saying. Yeah. Next fight, Cody Brundage against Cam Roaston. I've seen quite a few of Brundage's fights. I've not really seen much out of this Cam guy, so I'm going to leave it alone. Cody usually makes for a fun fight. He's kind of all over the place, a little hit or miss in his performances, but that generally makes for fun fights, at least, if nothing else.
Yeah, man. Very similar to you. I'm not a huge, you know, not super familiar with our Cameron Rouston here, but Cody Brundage, he did win me money one time. I bet on him like round 1 knockout, and he was like a plus, you know, 800. And he made me money one time, and that was it. He lost me money ever since. So he either gets finished or does the finishing. So like the under might be nice here. DraftKings has it at -1.5, is -120, so almost at a pick 'em here.
I like it.
I don't mind that, but you know, I'm probably not going to bet anything personally on this one.
Yeah, that's not a bad bet, but I don't dislike the idea of sitting on the sidelines for this one and just enjoying it. It's probably going to make for a pretty fun fight.
Yeah, quick
This
one.
Cam guy's king of the ring. Looks like he's got almost all finishes as well, aside from one decision, and then he's lost twice by decision as well. A couple finishes in a row. I think that under, it's sounding a little bit better to me as I'm looking at these records too. I think you're onto something there, sir.
Yeah, man, I think that one's going to be looking pretty good here. Under 1.5 scares me a little bit because I love when
not a lot of time.
Yes, when the line's set at 2.5, I like
Yes.
it a lot better, but that's probably too juicy for this one. So
Yeah, I wonder what that is.
-2.5.
2.5. Oh yeah, minus 325. You'd probably have to piece it with something else,
Yeah.
which it would be a good piece to throw with an under on maybe another one that I was looking at. We'll get to here in a little bit, but not to foreshadow too much there. Don't put the cart before the horse here. Remind me because I can never remember. What's the last fight of the prelims?
Featured prelim.
Feature prelim. I always want to say premiere, and I know that's not right. Featured prelim of the night, we have Junior Tafa of the Tafa brothers, a couple well-known thugs of the area, against old Billy Elikana, another guy who's kind of hit or miss, grappler base, not the greatest striking, whereas Junior Tafa is almost exclusively striking. I don't know, man. I feel like this is kind of your classic grappler striker matchup, and I generally go grappler in this. What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, dude, I completely agree with you, and it kills me as a striker. Because I'm the type of guy that you would fight, you take me down once, and I can't get up. You won't submit me, but I'm not getting up, so I just sit there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it kills me, but yeah, I lean the grappler in this one too, and yeah, man.
Minus 245. Apparently, we're not the only ones here. That's a pretty stout line. I wonder, they don't really have a whole lot of the props out yet.
Yeah, the props are hard to come by.
They'll probably hit us tomorrow, and we'll have all of them, and we'll be hours away from hitting it.
Yeah. I would definitely keep an eye on those lines, though, because, last weekend it was what fight just got pulled off? Michael Johnson, I think.
Yes.
Michael Johnson got pulled off, and, an hour before we saw the line move. Like we were there talking about the line move. So definitely keep an eye on those lines there and,
capitalize on it if you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael Johnson, Alexander Hernandez. Yeah, and Dana confirmed that's exactly why it got yanked. So a lot of weird shit going on with that lately. But the line specifically here I'd probably be watching would be Billy Elikana, either inside the distance or by sub would be my guess. I think he's probably going to go out there and shoot a takedown on Tafa and choke the piss out of him, if I had to guess.
Maybe look for a double chance and get a submission and decision.
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't knock him out, looking.
Yeah, good. A lot of times those doubles, you can actually still get pretty decent odds on them, too.
Yeah.
Double the coverage. All right, moving on to the main card, where we will spend the thrust of our time here, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 5-card fight. I believe now I'm second-guessing it with the amount of freaking fights on this card, but first fight of the night, lightweight bout, or at least of the main card, we have Quillan Salkilld versus Jamie Malarkey. Andrew Morin, why don't you take this one away, man? Lead us. I think I led on the last one, so take her away, man.
Yeah, so first things first, I would pick Salkilld in this fight. I think he's just going to be better. Jamie Malarkey, and one of those guys that I just fade. I just fade him for some reason. And I have a feeling, nothing against him, but I feel like there's a lot of pressure on him where he's in his home, right? How many times do they go to, Australia for fights? And, he's kind of the middle of the pack type guy. He has 18 wins, but I think he gets knocked around a lot. Yeah. Salkild's a high volume striker. He has that finishing ability. He has a 19-second knockout in his UFC debut. I believe he's the younger fighter in this one as well. And I just think it's on two different careers are going in two different directions here. So just one of those where changing of the guard, so to speak, and I think Quillan's going to get it done here. I just think he's going to use volume and get it done.
Couldn't agree more, man. You pretty well covered it on that one. Younger guy, like you said, careers on two completely different trajectories at this point. One guy's kind of on the way down, like the back nine, so to speak. One guy is on a tear, getting all kinds of attention. John Anik likes to bring to light that his family owned a bakery. He used to be a fat kid, and then he goes on and gets like the most brutal freaking head kick knockout ever against Nasrat Haqparast. Stylistically, one of the things I noticed too, Quillan is one, he's big. He seems to be pretty physically gifted. Like he seems strong. Like sometimes these tall, lanky guys aren't also strong. He seems to be pretty strong. He was out grappling Ashmuz, who is a pretty short, powerfully built guy, and Quillan was kind of having his way with him. Striking leaves himself a little bit exposed, but I think you kind of have to do that to get the finish sometimes. And against a guy like Jamie Malarkey, who doesn't have a ton of pop, Quillan was eating shots against other people, no problem. I don't think Jamie Malarkey is going to land and hurt him or anything. So I would say Quillan probably inside the distance. If you want to chop that line down a little bit, is the move here. The line was like, I think it was like minus 1,000 or something.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, dude. On DraftKings minus 1050 at the moment. You know, I would also be a little hesitant when you see the line start to get this big. Be a little, you know, more cautious, even if you're throwing them into a parlay or something, just because we saw a lot of fighters this weekend, about 2 of them, who were like, you know, closed at minus 1,600, and they did not perform like they were minus 1,600 favorites. So, you know, a little bit of bankroll management when they're going in for this one.
Absolutely correct. If there's not value there, at minus 1,000, there certainly isn't. Like, what's the point? In the most unpredictable sport ever, like, why are you playing something at minus 1,000? Like, it's just, there's no value there.
Yeah, he stubs his toe on the way to the octagon, and now the fight's off, and you know, or he gets his ass beaten.
Or he just simply overlooks the guy. He goes in, you know, drank a little too much of his own Kool-Aid, goes in there and lets it get to his head and proceeds to get the shit beat out of him. We've seen that happen several times. I mean, countless times there. The one that always comes to mind is that Michel Pereira, when he fought Tristan Connolly or whatever that dude's name is, the guy that was a weight class down and went up and then proceeded to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, another one, Peyton Talbot, when he lost
absolutely
a couple events ago.
Yep.
When he went out there and he was like, you know, everyone's like, oh, look at this guy, this young kid up and comer went out there and he got like
kind of got mollywopped.
Yeah.
Was it Honey Barcelos who did that to him?
Yeah. I believe so. Yeah.
Pulled that one out of my butt, but yeah, I'm almost positive that's who it was. Honey, he's got a habit of doing that too, that bastard.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does, man.
He's cost me some money a couple times. He's like one of those crafty, savvy vets who ends up fucking up some of your parlays and stuff where you're like, you bastard.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, chop that one down if you can. If you're going to play it, don't play money line. Chop the odds down, find you a prop, play it that way. Moving on. Next fight of the night, second one on the main card. We have heavyweights getting after it. Tai Tuivasa versus Tallison Teixeira. I guess I'll take this one here. Tai Tuivasa coming back after an extended layoff. He's on one of the longest losing streaks I've ever seen in the sport. I'm honestly a little amazed that he's still signed. He's on a 5-fight losing streak, almost all of which are finishes, which you never like to see at that level. It starts, I don't know, you start considering, like, where is this guy's head at? Is he still in the game? Is his body failing him? Like, what in the hell is going on? I think Tai has always suffered a little bit from, like, a discipline issue. Guy likes to party, comes in a little bit out of shape and stuff. That generally doesn't bode well in an athletic career, especially one as brutal as MMA. So all of that to say, I don't know what Tai's doing back. Supposedly he's been making good money outside of MMA and doing well for himself. So I would generally be led to believe like this is a money play or something, which it may still be. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. Stylistically, as far as fights go, he's heavy striker. He's your classic kind of Australian brawler. He fights in the Mark Hunt school of fighting for sure. It's a lot of big, heavy punches, not a ton of setup. It's kind of like singular big shots with the occasional flurry or combo. Kick game, I actually think he's got good kicks. He just doesn't use them a ton. He kicks pretty hard. I think a lot of it's just to set up his hands. So I'd actually like to see him flip it around a little bit, throw some jabs to set up the big, hard kicks, especially against this Tallison Teixeira guy. Tallison, though, younger guy, he's 26 years old. He's fucking huge. He's 6'8", so he's going to have a huge size advantage here. Pretty slick striker, especially on the offensive side. I think defensively leaves a little bit to be desired. So if we get a Tai that's actually in shape, Tallison gets landed on, and Tai's capable of knocking out anyone. So save me from rambling too terribly long here. I think Tallison's the more technical striker. He's the younger guy, he's the bigger guy, and the guy who's been more frequent and active. So he should win this. If you're just going to pick someone, pick Tallison with the money line. I personally will probably bet the under in this fight, given everything I've just said. These two explosive strikers, one with 1 foot in the game, 1 foot out the game, one guy who's very hittable and doesn't seem to have a super great chin against a very heavy striker. By the way, I said this guy's 6'8". I just noticed it says 6'7" there, but I could swear it says 6'8". Here it does. Okay, I'm not crazy. It does say 6'8" there. I just saw that in the middle of me ranting, but
listen, all I gotta say is if we were in my elementary school classroom and you just said 6'7", the roof would explode.
Oh my god!
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Kids would be losing their fucking minds out here,
dude. I swear. Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more with you. I think this fight is going to be very similar to Derek Lewis versus Waldo Cortez Acosta this weekend. I think Tai is going to be swinging out his ass because that's the only path to victory here. Like you said, 5-fight losing streak. Teixeira has an 8-inch reach advantage. You know, if he wanted to, he can keep him outside with a jab or jab cross and just keep him there. You know what I mean? You don't why get in there, get a decision. I don't think that's going to happen, but he could. And his ability to control the range is just superior, and it's going to get him into a fight-ending sequence here. Like you said, I like the under. Last I checked, it was minus 260, I think, but still, like, might be something worth like sprinkling on here.
Yeah. It's moving a little bit on us too. Minus 298 now.
Another play that you can look for on DraftKings, I know they have it, is fight to start round 2, and you can bet no. So fight to start round 2, Ooh. No would be minus 185. And if you think it's going to go over, if you go right into the round props, yep, it'll be right down. Yeah. Right in, fight to start round 2, no is minus 185 I have here, and then plus 135 for yes. So at 1.5 rounds is where the line is set. Value. I see value on both sides there.
Yeah.
However, Tuivasa is on a 5-fight losing streak, so he gets clipped one time. You can see a little bit of quit in him, like Derek Lewis this weekend. So, I like the fight to start round 2. No, at minus 185.
Interesting.
Or the under is great too.
I need to keep an eye out for those types of bets more. I don't generally look for the fight to start round 2s, and you've brought them up a couple times when we've been talking about these, and I'm always like, man, I never think to look for those. That's a good bet.
Yeah, I know. I also used ESPN Bet for a while. They don't really have a lot of those props, but I'm sure the other big books do, and DraftKings does. And,
I think Bovada does once it's like Thursday and the other ones come out. I think they have it too. I just got to be patient.
That's the only problem. It comes out, might even come out on Friday sometimes. So
yeah,
it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And the line moves quick. It does move quick. So
people jump on those, especially for the heavyweights, like the unders and shit like that. They jump on those.
Yeah, big time.
Next up, third fight on the main card. This one I'm actually super excited for. We have a lightweight bout, Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Huffy. Take her away, Mr. Morin. This is all you, man. Striker's delight.
Yeah, dude, I'm really excited for this one. I want to see how Fiziev bounces back here. I believe he just lost to Justin Gaethje. Is that still?
He's actually. I forgot.
Right.
Balmundas. Yep.
Yes, I just forgot that one. And that's a good win too. That's a good win. That's a good win. I like Fiziev in this one. He fought the higher level competition. It's going to be a stand-up battle. Both fighters are going to primarily strikers. I don't see anybody shooting in. I can see though, like if Fiziev gets in the clinch a little bit and just kind of a double leg just to dump him and let him go. I can see something like that happening where you're in the clinch, you're going for a trip. But I don't see him playing around with the guard of Huffy here. He will have the advantage in reach, but I don't think that matters to Fiziev. I think he's going to stay on the outside, and he's going to just do what he does, use those kicks. And he's got a chin on him, man. He's got a chin on him. He's taking some big shots. He went the distance with Justin Gaethje. I think he's going to clinch, push him up against the fence, dirty box in there a little bit, and I think that's how you have to fight this fight. If you stay on the outside and try to make it just strictly kickboxing and make it clean and crisp and focus a lot on like, those fully extensions and good kicks and reach chambers and all that stuff, I think he's just going to get picked apart. So I think Fiziev needs to get in close, fight almost like a Justin Gaethje style type fight, and get the win here.
I think you nailed it again, man. I'm 100% on the same page here. When I was looking at this one, I almost did the same thing. Like, I had the same arc you did too, where going into this, I was like, oh man, he's coming off that loss to Gaethje, and then I looked at his Sherdog there, and I was like, oh no, he had that fight against Balmundes. That kind of flip-flopped me a little bit. I'm like, all right, this is actually pretty good. And then I started going back and watching some of the tape and stuff, and I couldn't agree more. I think Fiziev's actually probably the more technical striker. He's got the Thai kickboxing background, and he taught at Tiger Muay Thai for quite a while, from what I understand. I almost said Shogun Huffy. Mauricio Huffy, while he's a flashy, like, dynamic striker, I think a lot of what he does is just flash. Like, there's not always a lot of substance there, and Fiziev generally isn't throwing a lot of, like, super flashy stuff without it actually having some oomph or some purpose behind it. And I think some of what Huffy's doing is for show. It impressed the shit out of me when Fiziev, I think it was the first round, he had Gaethje down and, like, had him halfway mounted in, like, a mounted triangle, if I recall correctly. I need to go back and rewatch that one, and was landing a lot of big shots on him and actually controlling him on the ground. It was pretty impressive. Now, it gassed him out, but I don't think Huffy's as hard to control on the ground as Gaethje would be. So I think if it goes there, he can control him. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and, like, shoot a double leg or something, but I do think if it goes there, he would be, the superior grappler, I guess. So, yeah, long story short, I agree.
Yeah, man, especially if it's up against the fence, too. Mm-hmm. Like, I can see, like, Huffy trying to stay on the outside and get backed up a little bit and kind of get a little bit of clinch working.
Yep.
And plus 102, he's an underdog. I mean, this whole card, I feel like we're just liking dogs here. This does have a tendency, though, I feel like, to flip. I feel like, he might close closer to a favorite.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Did Mauricio Rufy, did he just leave Fighting Nerds? Do you know?
Yeah. So I don't know if he's officially, like, separated from them, but he did for this camp. He went and trained. He's training with a Volk.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm always torn on those type of moves.
Yeah. Like, I know, the little fights I had, if I had a different coach, it would not go well. You know what I mean? Yep. You almost need those guys who've been there with you, know how you react, know what you do. So yeah, I always get a little torn on those ones,
especially after just, like, their first real big high profile loss, and they're like, oh, I got to reinvent everything and all this, and I got to go change it all up and stuff. It's like, man, stay with the people who got you to the dance. You were doing something right. Just because you had one loss, like, just address it and see if you can fix it first before you just up and move and relocate and all this. But I mean, you're not going to train with a much better team, obviously, with Volk and them. So at least the caliber is high. I just wonder. I mean, yeah, everything you just said there. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Agreed. I think Fiziev probably decision. If I had picked method as well, I would say probably a decision. Choose him up over time. Oh
yeah, and if he's a dog at moneyline, he's probably. Let's see. Well, I have him right here. He's probably plus money by decision as well. So, might as well make some more money on decision. Fiziev is actually plus 180 by decision.
Damn.
So it's actually kind of weird because on the money line, Fiziev is a plus 102. It's plus 102 underdog. But his decision, the price by decision, is not as high as Rufy. So I guess they're...
Yeah, that is... Huh. I guess they're predicting a Huffy KO or something. I don't know. That doesn't make much sense.
I think it's got to be what the bookies are thinking.
Yeah, and even that's not a huge difference.
Yeah.
Plus 240. Huh.
Very odd there. But I don't see Fiziev getting a finish here. I think he's going to get a decision. So.
Agreed. And I wonder if public money is moving those lines a little bit. Is kind of why they're a little goofy and they don't make sense. It's public betting heavy, and so they're maybe accommodating those bets. Yeah, Huffy, I feel like, has a lot of like social media and like casual fan base that are like,
Yes.
which are usually big bettors and shit, throwing money at
Yeah.
them because they see the flashy knockouts.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody who's got those fighting nerd glasses, right?
Exactly.
Everybody who bought them, they're throwing their money on them. If
Fighting
they have,
nerds.
if they have money if they have money to buy those glasses, that they're moving the line. So
Exactly. They're
yeah,
throwing it at some bets too.
yeah.
Every time I hear somebody say fighting nerds, I always hear that promo when Caio Baraujo like was first really hitting the scenes, and he cut that promo on the mic and did the fighting nerds, and that's like what everybody used that line for the longest time. I like those dudes. The only guy I don't like on the team is Gene Silva. I was really hoping Arnold Allen was going to get it done last weekend.
Yeah, man, I feel for him too because he was doing so good, and then ran into Max Holloway, and you know.
I want to go back and rewatch that fight also.
Yeah, you know, another one that speaking of last card was the Rose Namajunas versus Natalia Silva fight. I thought Silva won that fight, but a lot of people think Rose did. So
yeah,
that might be something I want to go back and rewatch, but it wasn't very entertaining, so I could have dozed off a second. I don't know.
Gonna have to drag yourself to watch that one all over again.
Exactly.
Those videos coming out of Rose afterwards, like signing the autographs and crying and shit, dude, I felt so bad.
Dude, and she's like I just remember UFC 217 when she beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk on the Michael Bisping George St. Pierre undercard. Like that was just so sick. And then when she won the belt back and knocked out Zhang Weili, dude.
That was the Thug Rose era, man.
Yeah, she's like, I'm the best. I'm the best.
Yep. When she was saying it at the face-offs and everything, that shit was so good.
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
All right, we got the co-main event of the evening. Lightweight bout. We have number 6 lightweight in the world, Dan Hooker, against Benoit Saint-Denis, number 8 in the world. This is a fun matchup. Again, another kind of your classic stylistic matchup where we have a guy who's a heavy grappler against a guy who's a heavy striker. Dan Hooker, been around the block once or twice. What do you even say about Dan Hooker that hasn't already been said? He's a gritty, tough fighter. He's like the epitome of like your brawler, tough, gritty dude who's going to take a lot of punishment. He's almost like a Gaethje, but doesn't quite have the pop that Gaethje does, and can't quite take the punishment that Gaethje does. But he's I guess Timu's version of Justin Gaethje. He's big, he's lanky, pretty high volume. He's always struggled with the grappling, and unfortunately in this fight, I think that's going to be probably another factor. It's going to come back up just like it has in the past for him. Going against a guy in Benoit Saint-Denis who is a good grappler, but he's also a very physical grappler. He's not super technically sound. He's going out there and muscling and exploding through a lot of shit. So where I was torn on this one is like, does Benoit Saint-Denis go out there and just blitzkrieg through Dan Hooker, take him down, get the submission, or TKO him or something? Because it seems like Dan Hooker's chin is also starting to fail him a little bit. Like he's made a career on being a tough, gritty guy. And then in his last couple of fights, he's getting hurt quite a bit. He's kind of getting ragdolled a little. Gamrot was even hurting him on the feet a little bit, which it's like, dude, Gamrot does not hit hard. If he's hurting you, this isn't boding well. Benoit Saint-Denis hits super hard, but he telegraphs it all fucking day long. Like, he might as well write you a letter and tell you what he's doing and let you set up so that you can get ready for it. Because it's just like these big, winding, slow punches. They're powerful, but you see it coming typically. He's got good body kicks, but again, you see him coming. So I don't know, man. This might be one where I live bet it. It's like, does Dan Hooker survive the first round? If he does, I think there's an extremely high probability that Dan Hooker fights his way back into this. You've got a guy who is more of an athlete than a fighter, and then you've got one of the grittiest fighters that's ever been in the sport who just, I mean, you've got to kill the guy to get him to stop. So all of that to say, I think I'd go with Benoit Saint-Denis if I was forced to pick one guy. Betting-wise, I'll probably live bet this one, see how it's going, or just straight up leave it alone, unless the odds are just crazy for, like, Benoit by submission or something like that. But this is just there's a real big question mark on this fight for me. It's hard for me to say how this is going to play out. Dan Hooker's too much mileage, too much damage, a lot of recent damage too, and all of that kind of makes me lean towards old BSD. But what are you thinking, man? Push me in one direction.
Yeah, dude. You know, another one for me that I was, earlier in the week, I was thinking, and I was like, like I don't really know on this one. But the more I look at it, like I'm a trend better. So whenever I bet, I like to look at the trends and look at the numbers and that sort of thing. And I'm a martial artist at heart, but I think sometimes my martial arts mind and my striking mind kind of lets me favor those strikers, and I can't get rid of that bias. So I like to dig into the numbers. And as I was looking into this one, all of Benoit Saint-Denis' wins have come via finish. So he's a finishing machine. And since the Poirier fight, Hooker's been hittable, man. He had that crazy war with Dustin Poirier, but he was hittable. Like that was the last fight that I saw him, and I was like, holy shit! Like he looked good. Like he fought the fight of his life that night.
Yep.
And for Hooker, 5 of his last 8 have ended by finish. Both absorb about 4 significant strikes per minute, which doesn't seem that much, but like when you have Benoit Saint-Denis swinging at you and you have Dan Hooker swinging at you, you're gonna take 4. Like that's a lot. What they call significant and what we call significant might be different. Similar to the first fight of the night here, different trajectories. So I like Benoit Saint-Denis here. I really do. I think it's one of those where another changing of the guard type moment. That being said, I think it's a shit or get off the pot moment for Benoit Saint-Denis here. We gave you Poirier. You won, like I think he won round 1. Like he was doing good against.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Then he got beat. Then we gave him Moicano.
Yep.
In Paris, right? And then he gets beat at home in Paris. Okay, that's a lot to come off of. And then it's just I don't know, man. Like it's just like shit or get off the pot, man. Like
yep.
I might be getting that fight confused. Did he fight Moicano?
Yeah, no, you're right. Renato Carneiro. They've got him under his actual fucking
gotcha.
name, but yeah.
Okay.
You nailed it.
I was like, I'm pretty sure about okay.
Yep. Then they kind of gave him a toss-up with that Kyle Prepelic one where they're like, all right, get some momentum going.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Mauricio and Benny.
Put them back up. And then, his last win, Beneil Dariush, was another good one. Mm-hmm. But again, 2 guys on 2 different trajectories. You have a guy on the way up and a guy on the way down. Like, this almost seems like it's like a Michael Chandler like padded record. You give him what's next? He gets Tony Ferguson, like come on, man.
Yeah.
All that being said, I like Benoit Saint-Denis here. I like the under 2.5 rounds at -165. The line is set at under 1.5 rounds at +145. But if you go into fight lines, right up top, right where you were, it would say fight lines. Scroll up a little bit more if you can. Right there.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, perfect. And then
there you go.
I look at -165. And for everybody who uses DraftKings, there's also a stats button. If you scroll up a little bit, there's a stats button. Click that, and it'll tell you trends and betting.
Nice.
And it'll tell you the bet that goes along with it. So I like to look at that a lot too. So it's a nice little tool here to use it up.
Yeah, I need to get on here and play with this more. I'm glad you're showing me this because I'm not super familiar with. I always I use Bovada. DraftKings is pretty nice actually. They don't have this kind of shit on Bovada.
They're pretty good. It's also a lot easier on your smartphone too, rather than it's a little clunky on like PC.
Oh, on I gotcha. Okay.
The actual website, but if you have the application on your phone, it's a lot easier to figure it out. But yeah, like Benoit Saint-Denis has to get something going here. He can't.
Yeah.
He has to, man. Like you can't lose to Dan Hooker. You can't.
This will be one of those that's probably pretty telling for where his ceiling is at. Like this is going to be kind of a make or break, which I guess Dan Hooker is kind of I don't want to say a journeyman or a gatekeeper because both those have a little bit of a negative connotation, even though it really shouldn't for like what they actually mean. But he is Dan Hooker's kind of the gatekeeper to like the top 5 in this division. Like if you get through him, you're probably going to make a good tear towards the title. If you don't, that's probably about it for you for title aspirations at lightweight.
Yeah, unless something dramatically happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree 100% with you on that one.
You bringing up the Dustin Poirier fight is what I'm worried this one could go that way, where Benoit goes out there and tries to blitzkrieg and put Dan away and realizes Dan Hooker's a tough son of a bitch, and then all of a sudden momentum starts swinging back the other way. And Dan Hooker is a guy that you don't want to let start getting a lot of steam and start getting his wind. And he's a guy, when he smells blood in the water, he's a good finisher. But I think the odds are not very likely for that happening, but it's just something you want to keep an eye on, I think, for this fight.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely something to keep in the back of your mind.
All right, man. We got the main event of the evening. The gentleman, this card was built around the featherweight champ, one of my favorites, one of the featherweight GOATs, in my opinion. We have Alexander Volkanovski, the great, against the Emo King Diego Lopes, as we call him around my house. Me and my girlfriend always call him the Emo King. She literally doesn't know his name, but I go, the Emo King, and she's like, oh God, yeah, I love that guy. Then she knows who I'm talking about. I have nicknames for all these guys, so she knows who I'm talking about. But this is all you, man. Take her away. Lead us on this one.
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited for this one. And if this is an Alexander Volkanovski retirement fight, I wouldn't be disappointed here. I think Volkanovski's done everything he can. Lost the belt, got it back. Just one of those all-around good dudes. And he's like a really well-rounded fighter. Like, when I think of a well-rounded fighter, I only think of one guy, and it's George St. Pierre. And I think that Volkanovski fights a lot like George St. Pierre. Towards the end of his career, GSP wasn't taking people down and finishing them. He was taking them down. He was controlling them, or he was standing on the feet, and whenever he felt a little nervous, take them down. He wasn't messing around jiu-jitsu much, just control, winning fights, and I think that's what Alexander Volkanovski's been doing lately. They're both coming off of a win. I do see that there's a height advantage for Lopes here. I don't think that matters much. I think Volkanovski has such a good stance. Excuse me. He has such a nice stance. He stays in there, and he's willing to fight in the pocket. And I think so is Lopes, and that's what's going to cost him. I rewatched the fight the other day, and Volkanovski has a great check hook, and he uses his check hook to reset. So whether Lopes is in there too close or Volkanovski's like backing out, he'll do a switch stance and check hook, and it was money in that fight. And I think he used it a couple rounds early, and then he never went back to it. So I think that's going to be a weapon in this fight to really keep an eye out, especially when they get in the clinch, that left hook. 7 of Volkanovski's last 10 fights went to decision. Lopes, 4 of his 8 fights went to decision. So he gets a lot of finishes, but not really up against those good high-level guys. He went to decision with Evloev, with Ige, Ortega, in the last fight with Volk. So those are like the top-notch guys, and he's taking them to decisions. He's not getting them out of there, which he's not getting knocked out either. But,
Yep.
I think the fight's going to go the distance here. I think Volkanovski's keeping the fight standing, and it's going to be a rinse and repeat of what we saw last time.
Damn.
Yeah, dude. A lot of people are on Lopes, and I just can't do it. My heart can't do it. Volkanovski again, and like he was 162 earlier in the week, 148 now, minus 148. Like, money's coming in on Lopes. I mean, we can get this thing close to a pick 'em. I love Volkanovski in this spot.
Damn, good breakdown, man. I don't disagree on basically anything you said. I think you pretty well covered it. I think Volk's one of the most well-rounded guys in the sport at this point. His kick game is not like super flashy or fancy or anything, but he does throw good kicks to the body and downstairs, and it's setting up his hands. Got good low calf kicks, things like that. And I think he worked those well in the first fight against Lopes to set up some of the bigger shots he landed upstairs. I did start going back and rewatching that first fight. So for some reason in my brain, I thought that fight was a little bit closer. And then when I went back and started rewatching it, I was like, man, Volk's kind of beating the shit out of him. They're like, he's landing far and away the bigger shots. Now, Lopes has the like freak explosivity and crazy power. And so like the one shot is kind of an equalizer. He'll land 1 to Volkanovski's 5. And all of a sudden their health bars are about the same.
Right.
I also think he's probably the better jiu-jitsu guy. I always touch on that his uncle is a coral belt, which is like fucking insane for anybody who knows what that is. It's like the rarest thing in jiu-jitsu ever. But I don't think Volk is the type that is going to take it there and be willing to stay there and engage in that game with Diego. Also, he trains with Craig Jones, who's one of the best jiu-jitsu guys on the planet. So just because your uncle is a great jiu-jitsu guy doesn't necessarily mean that the people you're training with are the cream of the crop like Volkanovski's training with, which Craig Jones is a partier, but he's still he's still one of the best, if not like the most technical grappler in the world. And Volk's training with him regularly, so I think he's going to be fine there. I always worry about the one punch knockout. I think Volkanovski's chin is starting to fade a little bit. I think the mileage is catching up a hair. I don't know, something this week about the mentality, kind of the way he's talking and everything. I think Volk's going to come out here, and I think he's going to show out and look good. Man, I'm just torn on this one. I think maybe just for the drama, I might pick Diego Lopes just to spice it up and pick something different. You would think Diego's going to go out there and try and make something different happen and realize that he needs to change up the game plan. Whether or not he's able to remains to be seen, but I'll pick Diego for the drama, but for the main event challenge or something, I don't know. We'll see what ends up on our tracker, but I'll pick Diego here. That said, my heart, I want Volk to win. I'd like to see Volk retain the title. It'd be sweet to actually see him retire with the title. I'm sure the UFC probably wouldn't be like super thrilled about that, but you mentioned the over, I think, in this fight that you thought might go the distance, and that's one I was looking at as well, the over 4.5.
Yeah, I like over 4.5. I like fight goes the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Any of those sort of bets. And if I remember correctly, excuse me, when Volkanovski just fought Jean Silva, he was like a plus 200 underdog, right?
Diego Lopes, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like,
and he fucked him up. I was so happy.
Oh, dude, I was so happy too, man. I put a lot on him that night, and he's coming off a win over Jean Silva, and it's like, is that the kind of like level that like is going to be Volk? I don't think so. Mm-hmm. If Diego Lopes stays on the gas, pressures Volkanovski, stays long, hits him with those power shots, he does have a path to victory. I just think Volk's not going to let him fight that fight. Volk's going to be too smart here, and he's not going out there to prove that he's tough. He's going out there to win, and I think that's that big difference in this fight.
Yep, going out there to retain, which is it's far different fighting style and game plan than when you're going out there and trying to take something from somebody. Like you're fighting to retain. Yeah, I would agree. And Diego, while he was dominating the first round against Jean Silva, it was largely on the ground, and I don't think he's going to get Volk on the ground like that against Jean Silva. And then in the second round, Jean Silva was he was landing some big shots on Diego and was kind of hurting him a little bit. And Diego luckily landed, I don't want to say luckily, like he clearly set it up. That spinning elbow was fucking nasty, but things were starting to turn back around where you're like, oh God, is Jean Silva fighting his way back into this fight? And then bam, spinning elbow. So yeah, you've actually sold me more on Volk. I'm feeling more confident in the Volkster retaining this title now, but we'll see what happens, man. It's going to be a fun fight, good rematch. And a good second quote unquote pay-per-view numbered event, whatever, to start the year. So I think UFC 325 is going to be a good card. Hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope so. Could be a stinker though, low key. Could be a stinker. Like I don't know. We can't have two crazy back-to-back main events in a row,
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I think Volk's gonna stay, fight a good fight. He's gonna fight the easiest path to victory, path of least resistance. And
his movement and his fight IQ, I think, are going to be big on this fight. You got to make something crazy happen, or just catch Volk on I don't want to say a lucky punch, but kind of a lucky punch to really get away from, or just have a huge size advantage like Islam or something. Because he's not going to give you anything. Yeah, no.
If you're beating him, he's making you work for everything. I mean, Ilia Topuria, that was a great fight. But he had to work for that. That wasn't easy. Yeah. I rewatched that fight. That was not easy for him. So
no, Volk was outlanding him, and I'll hang on to that till the day I die. That Volk landed more shots than that.
And like I don't really remember much because I really wasn't watching to score it. But like if I had to, I think Volk won round one. Like So
yep, I would agree. Well, folks, that is it. UFC 325 in the bag. Should be a good card. Hopefully we'll make some money, so keep a lookout. We put our bets on X. We usually try to throw those out Thursday, Friday, somewhere in that range. Like to see people make weight, and we like to see those props hit. You can find Andrew Morin at Morin__11. 2 underscores, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Find him on X. We are on Instagram as well. You can find me out there, Mad Max Meridian. I'm floating around all over the place. Throw us a like, comment, follow, subscribe, do all the shit. Help a brother out, or a couple brothers out. And that is it. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Yeah, see ya.